Hello, I'm Juan Echeverry.
And I'm Jake Madden. For the past few weeks, our advanced TV production class at Voorhees has been producing and piecing together some video content that we hope captures some of the spirit of the Memorial Day holiday.
It's a day to remember and honor those who have given the ultimate sacrifice while serving in the military. Our intentions are to pay respect to those brave men and women while also honoring those who have or are currently serving.
We've documented some first-hand experiences with local veterans. We spoke with former Voorhees students who have gone on to military careers, and we've also produced some original content that relates to this day of remembrance. We hope you enjoy what we've put together. Welcome to the VHSTV Memorial Day Special.
First, we'd like to thank Hunterdon County Resident Kathy Kent, who works with our local veterans and has done an outstanding job documenting and providing us with some of the footage you'll see of the local vets while visiting students at Voorhees in previous years.
After watching, if you'd like to see more of the raw footage we documented, check out our Memorial Day YouTube playlist. In it, you'll find the full uncut interviews from some of the veterans we talked with. Please enjoy.
First, tell me what your connection is with Voorhees.
So I attended Voorhees from 2001 to 2005, class of 2005. I would definitely say my last deployment to Afghanistan would highlight that question pretty significantly. I was met with a number of challenges going in. We were supporting Special Operations Command, and that is a very high tempo, highly expertise level oriented type mission. And being a reserve intel individual, it's definitely a challenge when you go into active duty special operations groups because you're going in with the best, and so it can be very intimidating. Several years ago, myself and a team got a group of individuals together to start the process of looking to build a national memorial on the National Mall here in DC, for the global war on terrorism.
For every veteran who saw the World War II memorial, 4 did not live to see it. And so that is a bit of a problem. I don't want to see that happen to our generation where we're long and dead and our service and sacrifice is never honored or remembered. My name is Sergeant Chad Longell of the United States Army. I served in Iraq in 2009 and in Afghanistan in 2013. I'm a member of the Board of Directors of the Global War on Terrorism Memorial Foundation. Being that the global war on terrorism is going to likely be a generational war, we realized that more than likely, if we waited until the so-called end of the war, many generations would never see a memorial built in honor of their service and sacrifice. This memorial isn't just an act of remembrance. It's a continued call to action. The way we can truly honor and remember the service and sacrifice of this war is to get this memorial built. So that way future generations, when they come to Washington, D.C. and they see the National Mall, they are reminded that America's longest war is still ongoing and that our service and sacrifice deserves an opportunity to have their voices heard.
This is something that will have an eternal, everlasting impact on the memory of those that I've served with and those that I haven't directly served with, those who have perished, including some friends of mine. Being able to enshrine the values of what I look at as our sense of service and sacrifice in defense of the values of this country, being able to put that in stone forever on the National Mall is certainly going to be an unbelievable sense of honor. I know several people have asked me, what is war like? And I often tell people the best way to explain it is you see the two extremes of the human spirit. You see the most horrific, evil things that Quentin Tarantino could never come up with on his best day. And on the other extreme, though, you see the most deep, sacrificial love. It's tough. Memorial Day is definitely probably the most challenging day for me as a veteran. But I'm blessed because I'm right here next to Arlington Cemetery, and several of my friends are there. So it's it's nice to know that they're close, and it's nice to know that I can go and visit them and check up on them, and it's an opportunity for people to come together and remember all of those who shared a common cause. My greatest point that I want to make to the students at Voorhees is to understand that the world they live in can change, and they're the ones that are going to be the agents of that change. And Memorial Day to me symbolizes not only the sense of loss that we feel on those that gave their lives, but it's also a celebration in the conviction of the charge to action that day to me represents. It's one thing to symbolize, memorialize those that have died. It's another to take that sacrifice and be active and engaging with it. And I think if this country is going to continue to be a beacon of hope, of freedom and liberty, and standing up for those values of justice and peace in the world, we have to have a generation of people who are willing to step up to the plate. And again, that's not necessarily through military service. It doesn't have to be through that. It could be serving a local service organization. It could be serving your local church or religious institution. It could be serving in public office or being a first responder. All those different things contribute to making this country what it is. And so when I tell people a lot of times about Memorial Day, I try to espouse to them that Memorial Day is a pretty big deal for us in the military, obviously, because it's very personal for us, for the loss. But for the civilian community, it's really more a charge of action. It's a call to action for people to get engaged and get involved, educate themselves on what's going on in the world, educate themselves on how they can contribute to making their community and their country better. And if we maintain that sense of those values, we can do it. But if we don't, if we falter on those values, then Memorial Day is essentially useless. It becomes just another excuse to throw a block party to celebrate the opening of the pool and the opening of the grill, more than it does understanding what our sense of service and sacrifice should be to each other and to our country as a whole.
One of the things why I'm glad to talk to young people like you is because I don't want you guys to forget about those guys and what they did for you, because it's important.
Now, a lot of you want to go shopping, you go to the beach, okay, which is wonderful. I think it's great, but just keep in mind what the real meaning of Memorial Day is.
When that flag went up, it was like a symbol of their freedom. And it's the same way how we feel. When we see that flag on a flagpole, we see freedom. We don't just see the red, white, and blue. We see the words freedom that says, I can do what I want to do because of that flag and because of all the people that fought for that flag, which means freedom. If those people back in the Revolutionary War didn't fight and gave it up and said, we don't really want it, we'll stay with British rule, whatever, we wouldn't be here today talking to you.
Do you understand the concept of the Vietnam Wall that's down there? Why the shape and what it does? It starts, there's 59,000 men that were killed in Vietnam. And the wall starts with the name of the first person on the left. Very first person that was killed in Vietnam. And then it increases. Then it goes up to the center where most of the people were killed, and then it goes down to the last person that was killed. That's what those 59,000 names are on that Vietnam Wall, in that order.
Memory of the veterans, like I said, which is what this weekend is about, our fallen comrades. And in those people's memory, whether you serve in the service or not, always think about doing something for your community. You know, whether it's getting out volunteering to do something, but try to give back to the community in some way.
Hello Borges, this is Juan, that's Jackie, that's V, and today we're gonna go memorial site hunting. So Jackie, where are we going?
We're going to Dog War Park Memorial in Bud Lake.
Hey! Wait, what happened, Jackie?
I missed the turn, and then I tried to make a U-turn, and then I couldn't turn, so I had to go around the U-turn, and now I'm here waiting to make a red turn.
Wait, I thought we were making a left turn.
We're making a left turn. We can't turn on red. All right, so we're at the Dog War Memorial Park in Bud Lake. It took long enough to get here, so we're gonna go walk down this not ominous path and go see the memorial. Oh, they have names!
Yeah, they're actual dogs that died.
World War II Smokey, he's a Yorkshire Terrier. Oh, he's a therapy dog. World War I, Sergeant Stubby. Detection and recovery of Bull Terrier. Vietnam War, Nemo. He was a German Shepherd. Oh, he was a sentry and combat dog. Oh, there's that Doberman. He's unknown. He was in the Korean War, as we said before. I love Gabe. He looks great. Oh, I love how they're all like individual dogs. Like they're not just the Doberman. It's like so much more than that. There's so many memorials. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of names. There's a lot of things. And I like how Google just told us it was just a dog memorial. But there's people too. I like this. This is a nice. Oh, it's this. No, it's the States. That's what I was gonna say.
This is a nice.
This is a nice States. Oh, they go in order of when they were brought into the United States.
Wait, really?
Yeah, because Hawaii's down there and has the years that they were brought into the United States.
What happened to those states?
We don't talk about those states. Where's New Jersey? It was the third one. 1787. Oh, it's freedom. This memorial is amazing. Like I came here expecting to see that little dog park and then just going, like leaving. But there's so much. Oh, the Pentagon and the Twin Towers. Would love to come back here. Like I would so like come here and just walk around and do stuff all day long. Like it'd be really fun.
Yeah.
We got to get back in the death trap and go to our next destination.
More evils.
And we're back today. So today is actually Wednesday.
Today's Tuesday.
Today's actually Tuesday.
Right here.
And where are we going, Jackie?
Bastilion Park in Raritan. There is a statue of a man apparently, and it has been honored several times by other veterans who I've seen pictures of on Google. So I'm gonna hope it's like that. Maybe we'll get surprised again like at the dog park and there'll be a lot more than we expected.
I'm pretty excited to do this again. I really like the dog park memorial. I thought it was really beautiful, and I'm hoping this one will be the same.
I think that's one thing that I've always seen in memorial parks, that nothing is ever like vandalized, which I think is really nice.
So we are all here with umbrellas.
We have some lovely weather today.
From what I've seen in the pictures that I looked up on Google, a lot of people have come to pay their respects.
So this is his name, John Bastilion.
I really like it.
Yeah, it's a cool statue.
Oh, and he was killed in action on February 19th, 1945. And then we have this other thing over here. Here we have another part of the memorial. These are specifically dedicated to the veterans of Raritan and the brave men and women of the armed forces who have sacrificed their lives for our freedom. The statue is more specific to the sergeant, and this one's more broad for all of our armed forces. We have the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Air Force, and the Coast Guard. I feel like you see the memorials and you can't really comprehend exactly what took place in each of their lives. You can say thank you and you can thank every veteran that walks by you, but it's like you can never really comprehend what they've seen or done or have accomplished.
What's our next stop?
We are going to the Washington Rock Memorial.
You just got water all over me.
Washington Rock State Park. Here we are.
Made it.
The final one. Oh, that's so pretty. In May 1777, General George Washington moved his army from Morristown to Watchung Mountains above Bound Brook. We are here. I don't have 25 cents.
I do. So what do you see?
Trees. A water tower. A house. From this rock, General George Washington watched the movement of the British forces during the anxious months of May and June 1777. I think this memorial is one of the more creative ones, like the Dog War Memorial, because of the fact that this was a vantage point for George Washington almost 300 years ago. What was your favorite memorial?
I like this one because it has a more historical feel to it.
I feel that.
I honestly like more the dog memorial.
Yeah, me too. I like the Dog Memorial a lot.
So much attention to detail, like you said before.
Yeah.
And it looked like everything was made with care.
And it was well taken care of.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one too.
Like, I expected not to get that much, and I got so much more out of it than just cute dogs doing their job.
I think that's what made it better.
Yeah, it was very surprising.
As always, thank you for your service. It's always appreciated, and like I said earlier, I don't think that we could ever comprehend what you've done for this country, so the most we can do is commemorate your hardships with memorials as we've seen today, and continue to be kind, respectful, and always thankful for what you do for us.
Let's go home.
All right, time to drive home, my favorite part of this day.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. This is Juan from VHSTV, signing out.
With Memorial Day right around the corner, I take some time to interview a veteran that was part of a very special project.
I was in the Army. I was trained down in Augusta, Georgia. From there, I got on a special project. It had to do with the hydrogen bomb. And then I went from Augusta, Georgia to Anahuac Island. That's way out in the Pacific Ocean. And we performed the first hydrogen bomb tests there. That was the first tests of that. They set it off on an island that was, like 5 or 6 miles from where we were stationed, and they shipped us off the island. We went out to sea about 50 miles, and when the bomb went off, you'd think it was 100 feet away from you. It was so bright, and we took all kinds of data from it, and then we had to go back to the island. My position in the Army was cryptography. Everything that was sent back and forth from scientists in the States here was done under code. Because they didn't want anybody to know what was going on. My main job was the cryptography part of it. Memorial Day, it's a day to remember the people that served in the service, and going way back to Civil War and all the way through the many wars that we had before that and after the Civil War. The project itself was historic, and I was glad to be a part of it. It was just luck that I got into it, because they were interviewing other people, and they turned other people down. Even though my parents came in here from Czechoslovakia around the 1900s, other people that were with me that were trying to get the job. So I was fortunate to get on that special project. Students probably should remember Memorial Day, because it's a long part of history that Memorial Day stands for. Stands for service people from long way back in the history of the United States, of all the many wars and all of the military that served.
And we would like to thank all veterans that have served in the past and that will serve in the future. And we hope that you take some time this Memorial Day weekend to remember them and honor that they served.
At the end of the year, we are quickly coming upon one of the most important events for us to celebrate, not just here, but all across the U.S.
Seaside!
But in all seriousness, what we're actually celebrating is Memorial Day. Do you know the history of Memorial Day?
No. No, I do not.
I think so. I think Memorial Day is it's in remembrance of fallen U.S. soldiers.
Memorial Day is a federal holiday commemorating those who died while serving in the United States Armed Forces. just so happens to be one of 3 major days which are meant to celebrate armed forces, the other 2 being Veterans Day and Armed Forces Day, which also happens to be in May. The idea of a dedicated holiday was established after the Civil War. President Abraham Lincoln is credited with the initial idea of Memorial Day. After the Battle of Gettysburg during the Civil War, a large memorial event was held where soldiers' graves from the Union and Confederate were decorated. This same memorial event is where he delivered his famous Gettysburg Address. The idea of a memorial event to celebrate fallen soldiers became more widely accepted. The official holiday came around in 1868 when General John A. Logan of the Grand Army of the Republic created Decoration Day. So just why is Memorial Day such a significant holiday?
The whole purpose of it is a day to remember those who have died serving our country, and that's one of the greatest sacrifices that a soldier can give.
Just to honor those who fought and died for our country.
I think it's important because, they fought for our country and they deserve to be remembered and celebrated. Because my bro, he's a United States Marine. I respect that.
So be sure to enjoy your extra long Memorial Day weekend, but just remember why we were able to celebrate it. For VHSTV, Will Porcello signing off.
When I got discharged, Elk Army Terminal, California, you go up, you get your pay, your back pay, your vacation pay, your travel pay. They give you everything. They put a uniform on you, and they tell you go out that door and get out of that uniform as fast as possible. What happened was the public began to blame the war on the warriors.
Back from Vietnam, my wife had to put up with me. I didn't know what post-traumatic stress was. Nobody really did. It was a new word that they came up with, why we act the way we act. Songs, we have certain songs that we live by. We got to get out of this place by the Animals. Look it up in case you don't know who the Animals is. That's our people. And then there's one by Billy Joel, and that's Good Night Saigon. 2 songs that tell the story about how we felt.
I would go for a job, and the first question they would ask was, what's your draft status? Well, I was 1A. So they would look at me and they go, we're not going to hire you because you're going to get drafted. Consequently, I got drafted, I did my time, I got out of the service, I was only 21 years old. I had to go get another draft card because you had to have that card till you were 25 and you had to carry it with you. So now I would go for a job, they would ask, well, what's your draft status? Because you're only 21. Well, I'm 4A. And they would look at you and they go, oh, you were prior service, you were in the military. I go, yes. Vietnam? Yes. We're not hiring you because you're crazy. There was no political correctness. This was the perception that the Vietnam veteran was nothing more than a dope-smoking, crazy person. And this is how America, a lot of the population viewed the Vietnam vet.
Well, Memorial Day means a lot different to us. We lost a lot of friends. I go to the wall. The best thing for everybody here, go down to Homedale and learn about the Vietnam War. It's close by. They got a wall up there. I have a good friend of mine. It hurts because when I was leaving Vietnam, he quit high school and he joined the military. His name was Robert Johnson. I'm boarding a plane, I hear this guy yelling. It was him. Come up to me, gave me a big hug, and he says, Larry, how is it here? And I just look at Bob, you're a tough kid. You're gonna make it. He was a sergeant already. You're gonna make it, no problem at all. I said, when you get home, call me up, we'll go out for a drink. That was in August of '66. They brought him home in November. Just put yourself in your mind, if that's, look around, all your friends. It's called the guilt that you get inside of you. Why did I survive and he didn't? But I go for the respect. I go down and see him at the wall.
My name is Chrysa Staiano. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I'm a school counselor now, and I'm also the mother of 4 children. I joined the Army because I came from a family of servants, I would say. My father was a police officer, and my mother was a nurse. I felt very connected to my community growing up, and I was happy to regain that feeling as an adult on my own admission. When I went to Iraq, there was about 30 women, 30 female field artillery officers in the whole Army. None of them had deployed as platoon leaders of men. I was in charge of a Gimler's platoon, which is guided multi-launch rocket system, and I remember feeling sort of intimidated by that role, and the brigade commander, the night I went to Iraq, said to me, "Lieutenant Gums, if you couldn't do this, I wouldn't be sending you." And I think about that interaction a lot, just how much he believed in me, and I knew I could believe in myself at that point. When I was in Iraq, I was stationed very far out east at a place called Fob Hammer. As my unit was getting ready to leave the country in the summer of 2010, we went to Victory Base Complex, which was in Baghdad. Specifically, we stayed at Camp Slayer. Despite the destruction in some areas, I found other parts of Iraq and of Baghdad to be really, really beautiful, and it helped me imagine the society and culture as it had once been. Obviously, Saddam Hussein was not treating his people well, but they really had some amazing architectural accomplishments. Here's a picture of the Flintstones complex at Victory Base. And then finally, my platoon was out of Fob Hammer into the big city of Victory Base. One of the coolest things I did in Korea was speak at the Korean Military Academy, which is like our country's West Point. So here I am in looks like a temple in South Korea. I have written on the back, Daegu. So we were probably participating in an exercise in March of 2012. One of the happiest days of my life. This was leaving Iraq in June of 2010, getting on the C-130 to go home. Well, the one thing I'd like to tell everyone about the military is that the friendships that you make, they are for life. Last week, I was in Hawaii with a friend. I knew him at Fort Sill over 10 years ago. So the benefits, the intangible benefits of serving in the military, are still a big part of my life. And I'm grateful for that. Since this video is for Memorial Day, Memorial Day doesn't need to be an extremely personal affair for someone to honor it. You can feel however you want about soldiers or warfare. You don't have to know anyone who's died in a conflict or died as a result of an injury or something that happened to them. You don't have to feel sad or extremely happy on that day either. If you just want to take a second to recognize that there are people, men and women, who sacrifice their lives on behalf of this country and those of us that are still here. So it doesn't need to be more than a moment like that for you to sort of celebrate the holiday. I would also say to the young people watching this that service does not equal sacrifice.
We'd like to give our sincerest thanks to all of the veterans who took part in this series, and especially those who couldn't.
We hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, and we leave you with this anonymous quote. Our flag does not fly because the wind moves it. It flies with the last breath of each soldier who died protecting it. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the day.